he just runs into players and falls over to Wirtz and back, and then down and back. That was Gakpo's dribble path. In fact, I do know where Gravenberch is. He's in the back five, and can you tell I like him? Right, hello everybody, welcome back to the Golden Sky. I'm Tom, or should I say, I'm Ric Flair, because yes, this is the tactical analysis for Sunderland, but let's address the elephant in the room. I have fulfilled my end of the bargain to you all and dyed my hair bleach blonde. I said a couple of weeks back, if one of my ratings videos got 50 likes, I would dye my hair blonde like Ekatike. And here we are. What do we all think? I mean, it's pretty blonde. Ric Flair is who I'm going with as my lookalike. I've had Eminem, Garnacho, Messi. I had as well. Basically anyone that's dyed their hair blonde. What do we think? I hope you'll all enjoy this and have a laugh at me in the comments. I mean, you guys did this to me, so thank you very much to everybody who liked that video and left me like this. It's so blonde. It's unbelievable. But you'll get used to it over the next month or so. Let's get into the tactics video, which is the purpose of today's one, looking at the win against Sunderland. A 1-0, not so convincing victory. Alright, so moving on to the clips from the game as my newly blonde hair illuminates one corner of the screen on its own. We're going to talk in this game about a few different bits and pieces that I took from it on my rewatch anyway. So we win this game 1-0. We were pretty dominant in the game, to be totally honest with you. Sunderland really didn't create many chances, if any, at all, at least until we scored our goal. We'll talk about a bit more about that later in the video. But a couple of things I want to point out that you're going to see coming up in this one. So first of all is our shape, and we do this a lot more when Robbo plays than Kirk has, which I think makes sense, to be totally honest. But oftentimes in this game we had this sort of back three of Robbo, Van Dijk and Konate, and then you see Endo, the other fullback, much further forward compared to Robbo's position. We did that in this game, and it's something that we've done a lot when we've used Robbo. We have done it with Kirkus as well, but our right back much more advanced than our left back. And the reason for this, I think, is to get Mo Salah away from standing so far on the touchline, which, to be honest, I think is a good thing, while still maintaining some defensive stability with the three at the back in rest defence. Another thing that's going to come up a lot in this video is our wingers lacking a bit of quality. And in comparison to that, a complete contrast, just how good Florian Wirtz was in this game and how unlucky he was to not come away with a goal, an assist, both. But still, for me, a man of the match performance in this game. So let's start off with this little passage of play. Gravenberch in the middle. It was sort of I don't want to really put a label on the formation all that much, but if it had to do anything when we had the ball, it was sort of a 3 and then a 3 in a sort of triangular shape, and then a 4 across the front with Gakpo on the left-hand side. Salah and Ekatike almost as split strikers, Endo and Gakpo giving the width with the 3 in the middle as sort of a triangle. But Gravenberch is going to play this one into Salah, and this is straight away, you're going to see straight away an example of how Salah on the ball is certainly struggling a little bit. And it's strange because I criticised him in the ratings, and then someone commented and told me that Salah had actually got 4 goal contributions in his last 6 games or something like that, or something along those lines. And I couldn't believe it. I went back and looked, and they were absolutely right. He does have that. And I don't honestly know how, because he's been pretty poor, I think, personally. And it pains me to say that as someone who absolutely loves Mo Salah. Don't get that misconstrued, everybody. But you see here, he has the ball in quite a dangerous area. But he just runs into players and falls over. He does this quite a lot. Seems to just run into players, thinking he can sort of phase his way through them like a hologram. But Wirtz is there on the seconds, picks the ball up, and just bursts past Sunderland's defence all on his own, and tries to find a cross a little bit similar, but on the other side of the pitch, to the one at Newcastle, to Ekatike, where he's going to pull it back close to the goal, and maybe Ekatike can have a shot at the goal. Doesn't quite come off in this situation. Alderete is able to defend it, but that's your first instance there of the wingers, and that's Salah and Gakpo not quite being sharp enough on the ball, but Wirtz, the complete antithesis of that, as sharp as a tick on this pitch. Right, let's move on to the next part of the game. You you're going to see us building up again. There was a lot of this, especially in the first half, us trying to break down Sunderland's defence. They sat in a low block, something we've faced many, many times this season, and it was our job to break them down. So we see it again, this three at the back, with Endo very high, McAllister on the ball here, trying to make something happen. The ball comes out wide to Gakpo. He's this time going to be holding the width on the left-hand side, and Robbo's going to give him this ball. And I just want to kind of look at where Gakpo receives this ball and what he ends up doing with it. Now, we've all been critical of Gakpo this season, and at times, rightly so. I mean, it doesn't take a genius in the footballing world to know he's not really been that effective. And this is exactly what frustrates Liverpool fans. And now, in this game, he actually did go down the line a few times. So I will say that to preface the point I'm about to make. But Robbo's going to give him this ball here. And if you're a winger, this should be licking your lips. You should be licking your lips at this kind of opportunity. You're completely 1v1 with your fullback here. There's no one else anywhere near. There's no one anywhere near like this whole sort of corner of the pitch where you can get this ball. You can go right at your fullback. You can go on a little dribble, maybe beat him, get into the box, pull it back, or have a shot. But Gakpo doesn't have winger-like tendencies, in my opinion. If you think of Luis Diaz or Sadio Mane receiving this ball here and think of how they would act, is it how Gakpo acts here? He's going to receive this ball. And if we think of where he received it, it was probably around here on the pitch, wasn't it? Let's be real. It's probably around here. We said he's going to go on a run like this, but he doesn't do that. He doesn't even phase Trey Hume whatsoever. He just runs away from the goal, away, until he ends up in this position where he can do his favourite thing, which is either as a shot or a back post cross. He's going to try and cross this to the back post. You can see Salah and Ekitike both know this ball's coming in, so they're both trying to make runs here. And when this ball comes off, it's a dangerous ball to defend. An inverted cross is a difficult one to defend when done correctly. But that's another thing with Gakpo. The quality of delivery is not there at the minute. You see, it's underhit. It doesn't clear Reynildo at all. He has an easy header. He actually even has to stoop low to head it away. It's not even close to clearing him and landing with Salah to tap it in the net. And I just think we let Sunderland off the hook by doing this with our wingers. When they're in a low block, you might need someone to take a man on and beat them. We struggled to do that in this game. And guys, I'm not going to be too overly critical of Liverpool in this game. We did win, obviously, and to be honest, I thought we did all right. I thought we played some pretty good stuff. But people get confused when they think you always play well in a win and you never play well when you don't win. They don't have to be the same thing, and a lot of you will already know that, of course, watching these videos, but you can still play poorly and win the game, or there can still be things in the game that you don't necessarily like to see, but you still come away with the points. This game was a bit up and down. Overall, I'd say it was a solid enough performance, but things like this are a bit of a problem for me still in Liverpool's play. So, goalkeeper has the ball here for Sunderland, and Liverpool, this for me is just nothing. I don't really know how to describe it other than that. It's not a high press. Let's make that 100% clear. This is not a high press. There is no press here. Standing high up the pitch doesn't equate to being a press all the time, because Liverpool are not pressing. The goalkeeper, Roofs, is not under any pressure. If the ball came to Ballard, he wouldn't be under immediate pressure from Gakpo. Same with if it went to Alderete. It can even come in here to the midfielder, which I think is Siddiqui or Diarra in this situation. I can't quite tell on the screenshot there with it being a bit blurry who it is. But the point is, this is not a press from Liverpool. We're just sort of stood high up the pitch. And you see McAllister is making an attempt to get in and apply some pressure towards the midfielder, but he's in no man's land. This is no man's land in terms of when you're trying to set up from a team playing out the back. You're not close to your opponent. You're not in a good defensive resting position. You're not marking space, really. There's no danger of the ball coming where McAllister is, and he's too late to his assignment. And what you see happening is Sunderland have all the time in the world to just pick out a long ball, which they do. We don't really press anything. No one's really affecting the playback here. Sunderland, you think, oh, good, they've gone long. Well, they haven't. You see Gravenberch, he's trying to, push up as well. So all our midfielders are here, all trying to push up. Robbo's pushed up as well. So that leaves our defenders back. But our defenders then do a really, really confusing thing. If all our midfielders are, have pushed themselves up past the halfway line, Robbo's gone, he's committed to go past the halfway line, surely the defence, in my mind, would also have to back them up. Think of City against us last week at Anfield. or on the weekend, sorry, really didn't allow us any space in that first half by really squeezing the line right up to the halfway line. They didn't give us any room to get out. But our defence, as soon as this ball comes in here, we actually end up dropping off. We want to run back towards our own goal. And it allows this lad in the middle to have all this, space in a dangerous area from just a simple loft forward from the goalkeeper. I don't really understand the method here of the team. I don't know if this is the players at fault in their how they've just set up here, or whether this is an idea that's come from the coaching staff. I honestly don't know, but it's too much space in the middle. Luckily, on this occasion, it doesn't hurt us. Sunderland do go out wide, and they get themselves in a dangerous area, and this is the type of thing that we can see goals from. We had a lot of possession up to this point in the game, but we would have gone behind if we weren't for a good block from Konate, and this is how vulnerable we can be at times when we play a game where a team soaks up pressure and then counter-attacks us. The ball comes in, Robbie makes the first contact, and Konate has to make a really good block. Otherwise, this ball is flying at the net, and who knows, it could go right past Alisson. Good block from Konate, who was excellent in this game. But more good stuff from us. Let's go back to the positive side. So Gakpo this time on the ball, and Robbo has actually released himself further forward up the pitch. And what you see is with Robbo further forward up the pitch, there's no Endo to be seen. I mean, you actually can't see because it's behind my camera, but I can assure you there is no Endo anywhere near this part of the pitch. So he's filling in that rotation there of the three at the back when we've not got the ball. Robbo, the one advanced to help Gakpo. But I want you to look at Florian Wirtz. This is the key man in this move. Gakpo and Robbo are going to try and get the ball in a crossing area. Wirtz is always looking where he can receive the ball, always in that pocket between the fullback and the centre-back. And he finds himself in a bit of space. Robbo lets him, get onto the ball with a nice quick ball into him. He's got space to take a touch, which he does, and he goes right at the defender. A little body feint to get the ball on his right foot. Very quick, sharp movements. Has a shot. Ends up getting blocked. This was actually blocked twice, this one. And it went out for a corner here to Liverpool. But good from Wirtz again, getting in dangerous areas. Good from Robbo, who I thought was decent in this game as well. And a bit more of our shape there for you to see in this game. Trying to break them down. And this continued as well. Sunderland tried to get out here, and I loved to see this from Wirtz. You can see this is a transition because our players are sort of all out of position. Van Dijk's ended up trying to run back. You see McAllister and Konate running back. Robbo's in the middle. This is obviously from a broken down set piece. But Wirtz is the one who not only wins the ball back, but actually muscled the lad off the ball. He just certainly seems a lot stronger, doesn't he, in recent weeks? And he's going to win this ball back for us. And then we're going to see the theme that I talked about at the start of the video here. He's going to play this one to Mo Salah. And Salah's going to give it him back. This is all fine. We're launching a bit of a counter-attack of ourselves now against Sunderland, who aren't quite sat back on the edge of their own box, as they have been most of the first half at this point. And Wirtz is going to get this ball. He's going to return it beautifully into Salah's path first time. And now, you would see, usually, Mo Salah, if he's on top form, would be in a really dangerous area here, one that he can capitalise on. But when he takes this touch and he ends up here, this is a golden area. You would think he's going to, curl this one into this area. He's going to maybe fake it and jump onto his right foot and maybe fire one across like we've seen him do at City, or at Watford. We've seen him do that. Maybe Gakpo can get in this far post and maybe Salah can find him with a pass. Maybe you can play a 1-2 with Ekitike. There's loads and loads of options for him to do in this situation. He's in a great area. Good play from Wirtz. But Salah, again, he just goes hologram mode and he just runs into all the Sunderland players. I don't honestly know what he thinks is going to happen. Gets crowded out and gets tackled pretty easily, to be honest, and the attack breaks down. And for me, this is just not really good enough. And it's such a shame because we've seen Salah be so dangerous at Liverpool. At the minute, it's just not quite at that level. But more from us this time. Konate on the ball. Sunderland cleared our last attempt to attack and are trying to get themselves out a little bit. But you see how deep they were defending in that first half. Again, nothing we haven't seen so far this season. Van Dijk telling Konate to go back. I don't know why. It could just come to him. But he is. And I want you to look here at the positions of Endo and Robbo again. So at this point in time, they're pretty much level with each other on the pitch, if I can draw a line straight enough there. Pretty much level. And look at the positions that they both end up in as soon as Konate turns around and restarts a phase of play. Here he is. He's passing this ball to Endo, who's here. And Robbo, the complete opposite, has ran all the way back to his position. So complete opposite instructions to our two fullbacks. And Endo obviously isn't the most attacking player in the world, but was doing the role that is clearly tactically asked of him in this system. So Konate pings this ball to him, and this is where you see the deficiencies of Endo in this system, because once he gets this ball, if this is Frimpong or even Bradley to a lesser extent, you think of that one-on-one ability that they have to burst past someone, get a cross in. Endo just simply can't do that. I don't think he's ever ran fast in his life, and he's certainly not going to be doing it at this stage of his career. So he just has to come back. Not necessarily the worst thing in the world. Sometimes you have to go back in games. Obviously, it does come back and it ends up all the way back with Van Dijk. We see, again, that same shape. I'm not going to point it out again. But you see the 3-3-4 sort of idea on the ball. Robbo has this ball and he plays a really, really smart pass for me. And I love to see this from Robbo. This is the type of thing that he's going to need to do now if he's going to be playing for us. He doesn't play all that often, but with his legs going a little bit as the marauding fullback that we've seen so often from him in the years he's played for us, adding these passes to his game is going to be key if we are to keep him longer than this season. Takes the ball onto his right foot, which isn't something he always does, and confidently plays this pass into Gravenberch, sort of breaks the lines, the first line of press here from Sunderland, and also the midfielders. This is Siddiqui not quite level to try and intercept this pass. But Robbo fires this into Gravenberch. He can have a little bit of space. Sunderland, again, want to drop off. You see they're all already trying to drop off. And if Gravenberch was really an excellent top-level passer, he might get this one out of his feet and immediately go over the top for Endo. That's the type of vision a world-class midfielder might see. Someone like Rodri, Pedri, that kind of thing. But Gravenberch doesn't have that really in his locker, at least not yet. His passing is a weak part of his game, in my opinion. But keeps hold of the ball here. We end up with the ball going to McAllister, and he's in a nice pocket area, a nice area of the pitch, a little pocket to find some space. And he's good in these areas. McAllister was also pretty good in this game. When he's in these areas, where there's, and I'm going to say this like I've said it in different videos before, when there's short distances between players, so when McAllister has lots of passing options, I mean, these are not necessarily all passing options, the ones I'm drawing, but when he has lots of players around him in short spaces, that's when he's at his best. When he can, combine with players. Think of that Argentinian style of football, the likes of, Messi, Di Maria over the years, especially at the last World Cup. Linking up with McAllister in the short areas, the short spaces, lots of short passes. Does a great job. He can go into Ekatike here, or he can go to the pass that he does, which is to square ball to Florian Wirtz, who takes the ball out of his feet and hits a long shot that Roofs had to make a decent save from. So good play from us again, a nice move from the back, cutting through the lines of Sunderland. This is honestly pretty solid play. Wirtz at the heart of it again, as always, ends up nearly getting another goal. A couple chances already for him in this game. And that only continued. Again, we see Robbo. This is another breakdown of a set piece, or at least a phase following a set piece. Robbo finds Gakpo, who would be one-on-one. Again, you might think, again, go at your fullback, but he does attempt to go at his fullback. And I want you to watch Florian Wirtz. He's in that very, very similar position to the previous clip that I showed when he was in a position just like this, and he took a touch and had a shot that got blocked. Already, he's looking over his shoulder. This is very, very important. And this is the type of thing that when they do the analysis on Sky and they have all the fancy cameras and they can really zoom in and stuff that I basically don't have the ability to access, this is the type of thing they always pull out. It's players' body language and who's looking where and things like that. Wirtz is always looking at what's around him, always. And he sees that if this ball comes into him, he's got a little bit of time. Ballard's not really going to be coming in over here and trying to close him down. He's working out how close he is to the goal, and Gakpo, to his credit, plays a good ball to Wirtz and finds him. But now this is very clever. This is really, really top level stuff, really, from Wirtz, and he's so unlucky here not to score. Gerard in the studio of this game said this touch was Zidane-like, and I said this in the ratings. Zidane is my favourite footballer of all time. So getting that praise from Gerard, who's my favourite Liverpool player of all time, that's quite cool to hear. In my opinion, this touch is a little bit Zidane-like. The way that this ball rolls over to Wirtz's right foot, he receives it on the back foot, but he's going to push this away, back the way it came. All the Sunderland players' momentum, especially Siddiqui, is trying to put this press on. They're running towards the ball. It's gone past them. They're thinking, I've got to get over in, I've got to block this shot. And Wirtz uses that momentum to take the ball back this way onto his left foot, where he can set himself immediately for the shot. And you see now they're not ready to, in a position to block. He's having to shift his body weight back onto his right foot, which he's not ready to do. His legs open up and Wirtz fires the ball straight through. And so unluckily hits the post. It nearly crawls in at that far post. would have been an excellent effort and a really nice goal. Again, well worked from us. And we were unlucky in this first half not to come away with a few goals. We did actually dominate. Let's move on to the second half, where this was quite a funny little clip, I thought, to be totally honest. This is, again, Wirtz and our wingers at it again, like I've already talked about in this video. It's a theme of this game. Gakpo, one-on-one with his fullback. He's going to have 2 bites at this cherry/apple. I still don't know the saying, as I said in the ratings, but here we go. He's one-on-one. Now, he's got the defender quite tight to him, so I understand. He goes back to Wirtz, and Wirtz just immediately gives it him back. He says, no, come on, Gakpo, you have another go, mate. This is your job as a winger. You've got to go at this fullback here, and you've got to try and get something happening for us. You know, we've got players forward. Even Konate's still up. Gives it him straight back. So Gakpo thinks, right, I'm going to have a go here. And he starts running at Hume. He's running, doesn't really get anywhere. The ball ends up, if it loads properly, there we go. The ball ends back here. Again, with us trying to recycle, because Gakpo hasn't really got us anywhere. He's dribbled from so far to Wirtz and back, and then down and back. That was Gakpo's dribble path. So Robbo gives this ball to Wirtz, who basically says, right, Cody, I'm going to show you how to play, all right? Now, keep in mind, Florian Wirtz not a winger, and isn't someone who you want all the time standing out here. We had that already earlier in the season, and I went mental at it. But if he drifts out here every now and then, it's okay. It's okay. And this is why. So, takes on his man, beats his man, okay, ends up in... I know what you're thinking now. Well, how can you criticise Gakpo and praise Wirtz here when Wirtz ends up in a similar position to the one that you saw Gakpo was in the first half, and you said, well, that's not very good wide play. First of all, Wirtz isn't a winger. Second of all, look at the difference in quality when he does get to this area. Gakpo just fired this ball over the top, and it was cleared by Reynaldo. Salah already expects this. Look, Salah's on his bike. He's thinking this ball might come to me at this back post. He's so used to it. But Wirtz operates on a different level, a different wavelength to everyone else. He's firing this pass into here. There doesn't even look like there's a lane for this pass to Gravenberch, but he finds it. Gravenberch further forward. This is clearly a tactic we've employed all season with Gravenberch and McAllister. Gravenberch even said in an interview that they have been given more freedom this season to go forward. It's helped Gravenberch get a few goals, but it's certainly hampered us defensively at times, especially earlier in the season. But here we are. Gravenberch profits in this situation, gets the ball. But look at Wirtz again. He's not satisfied with what he's just done there to find that pass into the box. He's already on the move, and all 4 or even 5 of these Sunderland players here just start ball watching. They forget about Wirtz, who's on the move. He makes this move into the box. Gravenberch holds it up and finds him. And Wirtz has a shot that was aiming for this far corner. Gets blocked, I think, by Ballard in the end. But there was an argument, maybe could he have pulled it into this corner against the momentum of all the players again? Possibly, yes, but it all happens very quickly. The point is, it's great play from Wirtz again, and not so great play from Gakpo, who again, you just see Wirtz is levels clear of basically everyone else, really. And can you tell I like him? Can you tell I like him? But here he is again on the ball. And I'm not... Guys, in these highlights, I want to make this clear as well. The pictures I've picked out, I haven't... and you would know if you've watched more of these type of videos that I've done. I certainly haven't picked out a bunch of photos that are just Liverpool bias and show us always on the attack. Sunderland really didn't do anything until we scored, and you'll see that shortly because we're about to score. But we really dominated, and Sunderland didn't do much of anything. So this is an accurate representation of how the game went. And Wirtz has this ball, a little bit of a counter. We've won it by going long, and we've picked up the second ball from the header, something we've been quite decent at since the Newcastle game. Going a bit more direct, and Wirtz dribbles and dribbles and dribbles, and this is again the pauser that I've talked about in videos previously, or let me put it into layman's terms. He knows the right time to release a pass. That's the simplest way to put it. He draws Ballard as long as he can until he has that perfect time to kill him off and take him out of the game by bringing this ball to Ekitike, which is exactly what he does. Ekitike can then take up the yards into the box, and he tries to cut this one back, maybe aiming for Gakpo, maybe aiming for Salah, or maybe just to put it in a dangerous area. But good play from those two. Ekitike finds Salah in a really dangerous area. An area that you might expect Mo Salah to score in, coming onto this under his left foot. Can he whip it back here? Can he, maybe pull it into this corner? Now, what happens, I think he gets a little bit unlucky. He hits it quite well. It hits Reynaldo square in the head and goes out for a corner, which we then score from. So, all's well that ends well. But again, I'm going to be really critical of Salah here, and I'm going to say Like, to get this shot to hit Reynaldo in the head, it's going to probably end up being straight at the goalkeeper or even going over the bar. I just don't think he's really at that top level. The goals are not there at the minute, and I'm hoping they come back, but at the minute, they're not quite there. Anyway, we score a goal from that corner, like I said, and immediately, you see the other side to Liverpool. So we've had 70 odd minutes here of good Liverpool play. I've shown you one Sunderland foray into their attacking half, and that's all they had, really. As soon as we score a goal, the way that we approach the game completely switches. Completely. It was the same against City, and we paid for it. And against Sunderland, we were not quite on the ropes at any point, I would say, but we certainly opened ourselves up to damage. And you'll see that here. So what happens when Liverpool score a goal? Well, we simply just drop off completely. Now, this could be due to the players getting a bit tired. Slot hasn't been using a lot of players. 13, 14 players over the last couple of months or so. That's down to injuries, that's down to lack of trust, lack of quality, whatever you want to say. Ekatike at this point is knackered in the game, and you can tell that because his socks are by his ankles. That's a telltale sign. Whenever he does that, he's knackered. And yes, I've got hair to match him now. I can read his thoughts. So there he is. Ekatike is tired, and he doesn't really do anything when he's tired, especially not on the defensive side of the game. He's dropped right off. There's no pressure on the ball, and that's going to become a theme. We're much deeper in our defensive line, and they can just move this ball forward, Sunderland, without really any pressure. You see all of our defenders, they're quite comfy dropping off. Everyone's running back. No one's really bothered. And again, now it hits the ball. This is exactly what happened against City when Shirky put that cross in that deflected and ended up with Bernardo Silva equalising the game. They were very similar positions. They worked their way all the way forward. They got to the edge of the box with no challenge, and then they got the reward. This happens as well in this game, but to a slightly lesser extent. When this ball comes back into the middle and no Liverpool players anywhere near, Ekatike is, like I said, he's goosed, so he's never getting over here. Wirtz is trying to jog over, but he's not really close enough at all. Gakpo is randomly in centre midfield. McAllister's on the left wing. Salah's in a decent spot, but it's not really his job. Gravenberch is deep. Konate deep. Everyone's really deep. And Brobby seals Konate. You can see him here. He's already trying to get his body in the way of Konate. But this pass that comes through into Robbie's feet can simply just never happen. It just can't happen. You can't have a pass go on the ground from the centre of the midfield to the centre of the box. If you think of Liverpool, if we were playing a team who were sitting back against us and they allowed us to do this, we'd say, well, that was awful defending. What were they doing? Well, on this occasion, it's us. And I personally look at Gravenberch, but I also look at, I guess, Gakpo here, but more McAllister, to be honest, because this should be McAllister's position. I don't really know why those two have swapped, but for me, it's Gravenberch. He has to see this pass coming. He has to. He has to have the defensive, brain to cut this out, but he doesn't. He doesn't have that side of his game, despite him playing pretty well as a defensive midfielder last season and being the supposed most defensive-minded one of our midfielders this season. He has to step across here and intercept this ball when it comes in. He doesn't do that. It ends up with Robbie to feet. Now we're in a really, really dangerous situation. He's 1v1 with Konate in the box. If he rolls him, got a great chance to score, and that's what he tries to do. Konate makes an excellent tackle and then blocks this one as well from Hume, who came in late to try and knock in the rebound. Konate makes this first tackle and then blocks the second one. Again, great game from him in this game. But this just shows the vulnerability we have when we decide to drop off in games. It's a really bad habit that we've started to come up with. And it continued. Look at Liverpool here. Before we scored, did you ever see anything like this in the game? The answer is no, you didn't. And I know you didn't because I watched the whole game back and this doesn't happen. No energy or effort from Liverpool to even attempt to close a Sunderland player down before they cross our halfway line. No attempt at all. Ekatike and Wirtz were the two in the 4-4-2 that we defended in this game. And they're not stopping anything here. I don't know where our midfield is. Here's 3 parts of it. I don't know where Gravenberch is. In fact, I do know where Gravenberch is. He's in the back 5 because this is something else we do sometimes. Gravenberch will go and defend right back in the back 5, usually following a player who runs all the way to the last line of defenders. Gravenberch is there, and that just leaves these massive holes in the middle. And I do not understand this message, this shape from us at all. McAllister has no legs. He can't possibly cover this much area of the pitch anyway. No one can, even if he did have legs, unless the name is maybe N'Golo Kante in about 2016. The ball comes in. This is Mundle on the ball. He's got no pressure on him. No one's going to get anywhere near him. McAllister nowhere near. Ekatike nowhere near. And you see Gravenberch, he's followed his man all the way back to the back line. It invites pressure. They come out wide. And what you might think, and something we talked about while the game was actually happening when I was watching with my family, is we sit off and we defend, but we still manage to let the other team have loads and loads of time on the ball, even though we've got loads of players back in those areas. This is an exact example of that. Reynaldo's got it. Nowhere near, no Liverpool player anywhere near him. Gomez and Salah the closest to him, not really putting him under a lot of pressure. Again, Mundle is just going to run off the back of Gravenberch. Now, I don't fully blame Gravenberch here. He's on his blind side. But McAllister, for me, has to talk to Gravenberch. Tell him, look, Ryan, there's a player coming. Maybe Konate can tell him, look, this player's running off you. But none of that happens. Mundle just runs off into space. Gravenberch hasn't moved. Konate is quickly alert, legs it over, and he ends up making this tackle. And we manage to defend it. I think Gomez actually gets back as well, and maybe he's the one who makes the tackle initially. But you see the space, again, that they have. This is a more dangerous player. Maybe they can get it on the left foot, have a shot at goal, something like that. It's just not good enough from Liverpool. But we did get one final transition opportunity. This is where I will end the video on this final bit of play from us. We managed to do the execution of the plan that we were trying to do, sitting back and defending, soaking up pressure, is to then hit a team on the counter-attack to kill the game off. And we see it here, the chance to do so. Jones has this ball. He finds Ekatike, who stays on side. Good from him. He's going to run at the defence. See Sunderland a stretch now. They've only got 5 players back to our 5 players forward. It's a great chance for us to kill the game off. Ekatike trying to work a shot for himself, but ends up coming all the way over to this right-hand side for Florian Wirtz, who waits once again beautifully for all the pressure to come over towards him. And Jones asks for the ball. He's in a good spot. Think of the goal Wirtz scored the other week where the ball was laid back to him in this position and he stroked it nicely in this far corner. Well, he sets it back to Jones for a very, very similar type of shot. But this time, Jones blazes it over the bar. He should score, and that should have put the game to bed. And that would have been his first goal in 56 games for Liverpool. Couldn't believe it when they said that. But that is where we're going to end today's clips. Just about got away with the win, but we certainly left ourselves vulnerable after we scored that first goal. The only goal of the game. Alright guys, that's going to do it for today's video, and I really do hope that you did enjoy it. If you did, and if you enjoyed my new blonde hair, or think it's ridiculous, or had a laugh at me, or anything like that, please do drop a like on the video. We're trying to get to 30 likes, as always, on the videos. So if you did enjoy it and want to help me hit that target, please do click that like button below. Subscribe to the channel as well. We're trying to get to 500 subscribers, and we're very, very close to 450. So very close to getting there. Let's hit subscribe if you are new. Help me get to that target. Podcast listeners, 5-star rating and reviews. Follow the show. You guys know what to do. I will be back tomorrow for ratings against Brighton in the FA Cup. No preview on a Friday. I know it's a little bit strange. It's always Friday previews. I went with a tactics video today because, to be honest, it's FA Cup. I think we'll rotate heavily. I wouldn't be surprised if we get beat, to be honest. And I didn't think it was really worth a preview. I think the Prem games are much more worthy of the previews. And I thought you would prefer this tactics video analysing that win at Sunderland. So I hope we did enjoy. Hope you enjoyed my ridiculous new haircut. Let me know what you think in the comments below. We'll be back for the ratings tomorrow. Thanks for watching, everyone. Goodbye.